What's good, everyone? It's me, it's Count, here with an all-new video. Thank you for joining me. Today I want to talk about whether or not Harry Potter Wizards Unite underperformed on its opening weekend. As many of you know, Harry Potter Wizards Unite was recently released and it is Niantic's latest game. It has a lot of similarities to Pokémon GO, but it does have a couple of differences that I really think makes it stand apart. But the comparison will inevitably be made. How does it fare compared to Pokémon GO? How successful is it compared to Pokémon GO? I'm going to be talking about that in this video. I want to say that the comparison is not necessarily fair, but I'm going to get into that later. But yeah, if you end up enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And without further ado, let's get right into it. So if you've been following a lot of media coverage for Harry Potter Wizards Unite, you might find a lot of headlines that point out that the game has underperformed or it has underachieved compared to what people expected it to do. And a lot of this is coming from information that was released from Sensor Tower. And of course, Sensor Tower collects a lot of data regarding app downloads and revenue. And people are looking at that data and suggesting that Harry Potter Wizards Unite is a complete bomb. I actually do not think Harry Potter Wizards Unite is a failure in any right, but a lot of people are looking at the data and thinking that it should have done a lot better considering the success of Pokémon GO on its opening weekend. So according to Sensor Tower, Harry Potter Wizards Unite made $1.1 million over its opening weekend, and it received a staggering 3 million downloads. This was enough to put it at the #1 spot for the iTunes App Store for Google Play, and it really is a very respectable number. Harry Potter Wizards Unite, by all accounts, is a successful app. It did really well on its opening weekend. But inevitably, people are going to compare Harry Potter Wizards Unite to Pokémon GO, mainly because they are from the same company and they are very similar games, and they both have a huge following. So unfortunately, people are going to think that Harry Potter Wizards Unite was not successful, mainly because if you look at Pokémon GO's opening weekend data, it is staggering. It is mind-blowing. So I mentioned earlier that Harry Potter Wizards Unite made $1.1 million on its opening weekend. Well, Pokémon GO on its opening weekend made $28 million and it had a ton more downloads. So people look at that and they think that Harry Potter Wizards Unite is a complete failure, mainly because it did not become the next Pokémon GO, which I think is really unfair because no game can become the next Pokémon GO. Pokémon GO really was kind of like the culmination of this really big thing, right? Like the Pokémon franchise is a really big thing, right? Like it's the biggest franchise that has ever existed. It grossed the most revenue out of any franchise, and it's just overall is just the biggest thing out there. So of course a game like Pokemon GO is just going to explode. So yeah, I do think it's unfair for Harry Potter Wizards Unite to be compared to Pokemon GO. It's really its own thing. And a lot of articles are also pointing out that Harry Potter Wizards Unite also underperformed compared to a lot of other Harry Potter games that came out for mobile on their opening weekends. I really think this is also an unfair comparison, mainly because Harry Potter Wizards Unite is going to be a little bit more niche. It's going to cater to a lot of AR gameplay fans. Like if you think about Pokemon GO YouTubers, a lot of them are covering Wizards Unite right now, and I think it's mainly because it's more about the AR gameplay and Niantic as opposed to the property itself. Like for example, the game Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery might appeal to a lot more of a casual audience because it's more of like a puzzle kind of thriller game, and you know, a lot of people who are Harry Potter fans might be more aware of that as opposed to Wizards Unite. I mean, a lot of my friends who are massive Harry Potter fans don't even know that the game is out. Like I've been telling them, hey, have you tried out that new Harry Potter game? And some of them would be like, whoa, there's a new Harry Potter game? I need to go check that out. So there you go. Of course it's going to underperform. But again, I really think Harry Potter Wizards Unite is a game that has a lot of potential. It has a lot of legs. It's definitely a game that's enjoyable. Like when I've been playing it, I really feel like it has a lot of elements that makes Pokemon GO really great, but it has a lot of things that makes it its own game, and it's also a little bit more hardcore, I found, compared to other casual games. Like Like, Pokemon Go is pretty casual, and also Harry Potter Wizards Unite, it's still casual enough, but there are definitely more hardcore elements in Harry Potter Wizards Unite, which is why I don't think it's going to have that much more of a wide appeal. And you also have to think about this, Pokemon Go when it first released was extremely simple and extremely casual. It was essentially the bare bones version of what Pokemon Go is now, so it's definitely a lot more accessible. Harry Potter Wizards Unite has a lot of complex mechanics in that game, so I can understand that if someone just jumps into that game for the first time and they're not familiar with a lot of the mechanics that are currently in Pokemon Go, they're going to feel very confused, they're going to feel very overwhelmed, and I can understand that. Something that I also want to point out is that Harry Potter Wizards Unite has a much friendlier monetization system compared to a lot of other games. Like, when you're playing Harry Potter Wizards Unite, unless you're playing it at a hardcore level, you're not going to feel that inclination to spend money in this game. Like, there's plenty of inns everywhere compared to how many Pokestops there are in Pokemon Go, so it's not really hard to keep your energy up. And I can understand a lot of people are complaining, especially rural players. It's kind of similar to how it was with Pokemon Go, but Harry Potter Wizards Unite is definitely monetized in a way where it's not necessarily going to make a killer amount of money compared to a game like, let's say, Clash of Clans or Pokemon Go. Which is why it's understandable that for its opening weekend, $1.1 million is actually quite respectable, and I really think the game is going to have legs, it's going to have its own following, and I really think it's going to end up being very successful in the long run. And quite honestly, the other thing that I think players are not really considering is the fact that Harry Potter Wizards Unite is a franchise that's a lot smaller than Pokemon Go. Like, if you think about Pokemon compared to Harry Potter, Pokemon has a much richer history, it has a much bigger history, and Harry Potter Wizards Unite is based on Harry Potter, which is a little bit more niche. Like, yeah, it was really big for a long time, but the movies have been out for such a long time that I think a lot of people are not necessarily big on Harry Potter as they were 10 years ago. Whereas Pokemon Go is based on Pokemon, which is a franchise that is still ongoing. There's games that are constantly being released, like Pokemon Sword and Shield is definitely something that's continuing the hype. Pokemon is a franchise that is massive by comparison. So naturally, I think Pokemon Go is always going to do better than Harry Potter Wizards Unite, just based on the franchises alone. And when I say that, I'm not saying that Harry Potter is a lesser franchise. I think it's a great franchise, and I can see why a lot of people are obsessed over it. And I really like the idea of something that's like has a lot of fantasy elements that is accessible for the public and for people to enjoy. And I like the fact that Harry Potter does have a lot of richness to it, has a lot of depth to it, and it does produce a lot of great content in books and movies and different things like that. I always love when a rich franchise or a rich IP comes out with games like Harry Potter Wizards Unite. I really want this game to be successful, and I'm actually enjoying it quite a lot. So yeah, there you go. It may not necessarily be as big of a cash cow as Pokemon Go, but I still think it's going to be successful, and I still think it's a really great game. And one of the things that I really appreciate about Harry Potter Wizards Unite is that Niantic took a lot of risks with this game. They added a lot of mechanics that they haven't implemented yet in Pokemon Go, and I feel like they're treating Harry Potter Wizards Unite as kind of like a guinea pig for a lot of different mechanics. Like, yes, it could completely fail, or it may not necessarily achieve the objective of what it's supposed to do, but they're trying it out in Harry Potter Wizards Unite so that they could possibly implement it in the future for Pokemon Go. One of the things that comes to mind is some of the mechanics revolving inns and fortresses. Like, the way that you interact with some of these places is a lot more in-depth, and with Pokemon Go, yes, it's very simple. Like, even with gym battles, it's very simple, but I like the fact that Harry Potter Wizards Unite has a lot of complexity to it, has a lot of depth to it that Pokemon Go doesn't necessarily have. So Niantic could certainly try out a lot of different mechanics in Harry Potter Wizards Unite, and they could also bring it over to Pokemon Go and vice versa. I think that's a really great idea. And yes, having Harry Potter Wizards Unite in the fold with Pokemon Go and Ingress, I think it's really great for Niantic. I always think it's very positive when game studios diversify their content. Like, for example, with Supercell, you see them come out with Brawl Stars. It's a completely different franchise to to what all the other Clash games involve, and I really like that they did that because diversifying, even if it's not as successful as their other franchises, it's still a positive thing for game studios. So what does this all mean for Niantic? Well, I actually think that they probably predicted this, right? Like, they had a lot of their development still focused on Pokemon Go. They had a little bit more of a hands-off approach to Harry Potter Wizards Unite. Like, if you look at the intro screen for Harry Potter Wizards Unite, you just see a whole bunch of studios like attached to this game, like Portkey Games and WB Games. Like, a whole bunch of studios were working on this game. But if you look at Pokemon Go, it's pretty much strictly Niantic, right? Like, the Pokemon company probably has a bit of a hand in it, but I guarantee you Niantic puts a lot of their eggs in the Pokemon Go basket compared to the Harry Potter Wizards Unite basket. So what this means is that even if Harry Potter Wizards Unite completely fails, Niantic is going to be okay. They're going to continue making a killer amount of money through Pokemon Go. And in terms of Pokemon Go, this is not necessarily going to mean anything because Pokemon Go is going to continue to have its followers, it's going to continue to have its millions of players, and it's going to continue to make money. And Pokemon Go is going to remain relevant so long as they keep coming up with new Pokemon. As long as there is a new generation, a new mechanic to look forward to, Pokemon Go is going to be alive and well. I mean, that is the nature with mobile games. Like, they just seem to have a lot of longevity. Like, if you think about games like Clash Royale, Clash of Clans, and Angry Birds, and a lot of those other games, they're still alive and well, like 7 to 10 years later. Like, it's pretty ridiculous. So we can expect Pokemon Go to stay for a very long time, and it's not like Niantic needed Harry Potter Wizards Unite in order to stay alive. Like, Harry Potter Wizards Unite is a nice supplement to the success that they're going to continue to have with Pokemon Go. At least that's how I perceive it, so yeah. Anyway, I would love to know your thoughts regarding all of this. What do you think about Harry Potter Wizards Unite? What do you think about Pokemon Go? Do you think the comparison between these two games is unfair? I would love to know your thoughts. And again, if you ended up enjoying this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if it's your first time here. I'm Count Jinsula, and I'll catch you all later.